What's up, YouTube? Mr. Limecy here, and today we just played some Moon Beast game. That is the unofficial title, just the current title that they have in the works until they fully release the actual name of the game, but that is what we have. This is a pre-alpha showcase demo, essentially, that just a few of us got to play, and I was one of the lucky ones. So, very big shout out to Moon Beast Studios there. They are some of the guys from Diablo 2. Peter and Phil and Eric are all working on this game. I've showcased it a couple times before, untitled Moon Beast Studio game, and it's changed a bit since we've gotten to there. So I want to kind of show a little bit of it and then discuss just kind of my thoughts and how I feel. We've kind of like beaten the demo here. And so, you know, and this is kind of just the like post-demo thoughts. So the things that I really love with the game. Number one, I love the combat. I mean, you can literally see I can like be up in the air and like shooting down and stuff. Very engaging combat. I'm in a low-level area, so that's why I'm like one-shotting everything. But there is a lot of difficulty as well, normally within the game, and I think that is truly fantastic. So the combat is amazing. I really love the look of the game as well. I hope that they go bolder in colors in some other areas in the future, but I do really enjoy the look. I think it looks really nice. Kind of gives me overall like a Dungeon Siege, Grim Dawn feel. The game is in this 3D kind of world that you can, you know, again, bounce around, exist in. You can see the terrain is destructible. So literally, you know, I'm like down in here and I can like break out the world like that. And now that is going to be part of the world for the rest of time. Procedurally generated worlds and maps. Which I like a lot. I'm really enjoying the itemization thus far. It's been pretty simple, which I like. You know, you just kind of have your like damage. If something is like fire imbued or cold imbued, lightning imbued. I switched a lot through a variety of weapons as I was playing through. So, okay, this one's got a little higher DPS, but I would prefer to have, you know, some cold or whatever it is, right? The rares do feel like cool and meaningful. And I feel like the itemization is decent. I don't think it's the best itemization I've ever seen. Yeah, I think D2 is the best. But I would definitely put it up there above the rest of the Diablos for sure. There's no weird affixes, anything like that of like on Tuesday when the sun is going down, you deal 50% more damage to mobs that are within 3 meters of you or anything, right? So kind of, you know, more that simple state with all of that. They have the inventory Tetris, which I like. So that's nice. They also have an auto sort feature in it that works really well, just as an FYI. Trying to think. The world is a little plain right now. I mean, it is an alpha, so you know there's not a lot out in the world. I think there could be, you know, a little bit more out there, but overall I do feel like it's still a pretty exciting world to go around. I do hope that, you know, that'll be a big thing I'd like to see, right? It's just like making the world more interesting. One of the really cool things is there are the checkpoints, kind of like I talked about before, or you have waypoints, but then you have things such as there was an altar of the ancient gods up here. When it's activated, it slowly spreads all around over time and becomes this giant necropolis that takes over your map. You can see it destroyed my waypoints actually and the towns that I had up here. And just like really cool, like you're actually having to race against time and all of that as you're like leveling up everywhere else. You can go back and fight it and defeat the evil. And that's something they've talked about having a lot in the game, is this idea of we're going to, you know, have the world be this ever-changing environment. And whether that is changing through, you know, like you physically changing it by blowing it up and killing stuff, or the mobs, you know, blowing it up with their stuff, killing it, or through events that, you know, this is going to now take over. You got to figure out how to deal with it, right? Like, there's real-time threats within the game, and it's ever changing and shifting, so no playthrough is going to be the same in a bunch of various ways, and even how the maps all form together and stuff will be unique in that capacity. From a skill perspective, I think this is probably the weakest point of it right now. It's a pretty simple skill tree, as you can see. I think also in the alpha, this isn't even exactly how it'll fully be. But essentially, you just have your like base skill, Bloodlash, Bone Storm, you know, Glyph Lunge, Spinebreaker, Shadow Walk. Those are like the 5 skills right now that the Witch has. And then you just have your kind of passives behind to improve it. So right now I'm running kind of Bone Storm, which is this. And then it has this like echo where it has reflecting shots off of it and a little bit of knockback. I've played the Bloodlash before where like I gained a lot of life on hit. And then I had a big like attack speed boost from it. So I was kind of doing like a big frenzy with it. That was interesting. Shadow Walk I've used before for just like a big teleport in. I haven't played the Glyph Lunge or Spinebreaker yet. But very simple on the tree. Does kind of have a little bit of the D4 tree simplicity with just the little nodes behind. I think there's plenty to be done here. Again, this is the pre-alpha, so I think, you know, plenty to be done there. Another thing, they do have your cube as well for like crafting things together. I don't know what exactly needs to be done in the crafting or not, but there is a cube that you can craft in, apparently. There's also just like cool things for socketing. One thing I like is there's kind of these like super sockets. You have a regular socket and then like a super socket. And so certain things like a Bone Legion heart, which only drops from these specific mobs, can go into those like super sockets. And so not all items have it, as you can see. None of my items I'm wearing currently have one. Nope. Oh, I guess this one is. This was a super socket, so I made this a cold imbued shield. I don't know if that actually does anything or not, but we put it in there. There's also tattoos, where if you get these runes, you can either socket them in items or tattoo them on, and then they'll have little things. So this one, for instance, makes my Bloodlash entangle enemies, which kind of stuns them. So that's really nice for that. I do feel like even though there's not a lot of skills, there is still kind of a nice variety within the builds already. Like I said, I've played this Bloodlash build before where I had like a big dagger, and I was doing this like Fury dagger style. This one I'm playing is this like Bone Storm shot with this kind of melee caster combination, right? You can kind of see here. And then I can like drag and push back and all sorts of stuff there. And then, you know, and then there's, we've seen multiple of the Glyph Lunge builds, and there's plenty more that could be done even there. So for what they have right now, there is a decent variety. I also believe we can only play the Witch at the moment. So, you know, this is the first class. There will be more classes for sure. There is still some like frame rate issues and little things. Of course, it's not fully optimized with all of it. I do love the look overall. I think, you know, it does kind of, again, have that old school look. And, you know, the fighting is really nice. I've had to do a lot of positioning with my fighting. When you go into, like, I've been in dungeons, and when I'm in the dungeons, I'm, like, going forwards, backwards, and I'm breaking holes down, you know, just so, like, they're coming one at a time through the hole to fight me instead of all swarming me. I died multiple times in this playthrough of it. Like, there was a lot of just really kind of nice, simple things that they had in the game. So I've been very impressed so far. Again, I covered this game a little bit before, and they didn't really have any playthrough piece on it yet. They just kind of talked about the destructible world, how moddable everything was going to be, how much they're going to support like custom game design and all of that, which I love all of that. Because, you know, that is some of my favorite stuff, is having this, like, customs that you can come in and build all this stuff. And they're really supporting a lot of that because they know that that's some of the like best things of when you look at like Warcraft 3 and StarCraft Brood War and things. Like obviously the games are cool, but how many of us remember playing, you know, Bunker Wars or doing the Bounds or doing, you know, any of those, Uther Party, all of that stuff. And so having this world that's super moddable, super destructible, you can do a lot of clashing and all sorts of cool things and building cities underneath the world that you go down and discover and just all sorts of interesting things. So I'm really excited for that editor and when all of that kind of comes out. But yeah, I think that kind of covers my initial thoughts with it there. I don't want to like blabber on for too much. Again, I think the look is really great. The combat is really great. I think the skills, you know, I'm hoping to see more from that. I'm hoping to see more from, you know, just improvements and optimizations within the, you know, game itself. I think would be really nice. The frame rate and just various pieces like there. But it's cool. It's a very promising start for an ARPG in my mind, and I look forward to them deving more of it and giving us a little bit more to play with. Yeah, that's the Entangle right there. It's actually really nice, that tattoo. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you're excited. You can check it out. I'll put some links down below for if you want to get on the sign-up list for maybe an alpha in the future or anything like that. I'll have all that stuff down below. Peace, YouTube. Peace.